You also have your own podcast, which is you're the first guest we've ever had on that has their own show. What has that been like, having a podcast? Is it something that you recommended to people? Do you hate having a podcast?
So I assume you guys severely underestimated how tough running a podcast is as well.
Yep.
It's like, yeah, we'll just bring mates over, we'll hang out, it's fine. Oh, we have to edit it? Fuck. You know, and then also the thing that I've also come to learn is that we were probably recording for 2 hours, but then we realized we're not as interesting as we think we are. And so now we have to cut it down to maybe 30 minutes. I wanted to start a podcast because one thing that I realized was that it's really great for me to be nerding out about editing and storytelling on my channel. But I know there's so many other people who also want to do the same that probably don't really have a channel or probably don't even realize how talented they are in editing. Let's celebrate that. And so I started the editing podcast for them to celebrate other editors and other storytellers, and for me to also learn, because I got to admit, I had doing editing education on my channel and I kind of ran out of knowledge. I ran out and I was like, I don't know what to make videos on anymore. And so admittedly, I then started the channel so I could then start learning again myself. Essentially, my new plan then became bringing in a new mentor every week, letting them teach me something that's going to fundamentally reshape everything I know about creativity and editing. But running a podcast is something that I severely underestimated. And then especially with the style that I'm wanting, where, again, the strategy of how can I get a 2-hour conversation down in 30 minutes and you don't feel those cuts, that is a whole art form in itself that I am still really struggling with.
What's been one of the things that you've learned from these mentors that you've had on the show? Because I feel like in our situation, it's similar, where we get people that sit in your seat and we learn tons about the ways that they're running their business, or the ways that they're filming their content, or like you editing your stuff from these pro editors that you've had, maybe from Chernobyl or from the other movies.
I mean, you had David Fincher
Yeah,
on.
David
Fincher's
editing.
David Fincher's editor.
Ridiculous.
That was fun.
What'd you learn from David Fincher's editor?
I think two of my favorite things from him is, one, he as an editor is very conscious of when people are blinking. And it's something that also came from another editor called Walter Murch, who kind of pioneered that concept. And basically the theory is that when an actor blinks, that's the actor, not the character. And so it actually breaks the illusion. And so what he does is he takes specifically where an actor is not blinking, or he chooses a moments when, if he's cutting to a reaction, their blink is at a specific line. So let's just say X character says something dramatic, he'll cut back to the person, blink, and it's like that's them trying to process the information. So he's even being conscious of when to time a blink. And if there's a take that someone has that's really good, and this is from another editor that taught me this one, who edited Andor, who also edited Chernobyl as well. What he also does is that if someone blinks and he also feels like it breaks the illusion, he motion tracks a still of those person's eyes of the frame just before, and then motion tracks it on so he completely hides the blink. And so what it means is you're all blinking now and I'm really conscious. It's really funny now. And so what it means is that eye contact is so much more intense because the blinking is not breaking anything. And us at the back of our minds, I feel this, when we notice someone's not blinking, that increases that intensity. And so that is how detailed TV and film editors get. We think, us on web media, we think we're detailed. Man, the shit that they talk about is on another level. But one of my favorite ones is with David Fincher was with vertical editing that he described, where I initially was calling it contrast editing, where one shot's quiet and then the next shot's really loud. He called it vertical editing, and he was breaking it down with the last film he edited with David Fincher, with The Killer, and how that vertical editing of when we're seeing Michael Fassbender building a gun and he's wearing headphones, and then when we cut back to his POV, we're then hearing the Smiths really, really loudly. We cut back out and it's like super quiet. And he was using that to help build this really tense anticipation to when he's getting prepared to fire. And he was using the sound editing to help build that attention and that anticipation. And that is something that I became very conscious of. And then I implemented that in the last Michelle Carre video, where the video generally opens with vertical editing. And it is so powerful. And that's why I'm doing the podcast. I don't know anything about editing. These people do. Let them teach me something so then I can then be a better editor myself.